Oh, yes!
For many years, hope for Charlotte Hornets fans was like a lamp going on and off. LaMelo Ball, their supposed savior, looked like he had a bright future, but he has been plagued with injuries season after season. The Hornets have not made the playoffs since 2016, and even worse, they have still never won an NBA championship. But lately, there has been signs of life from the young team, and hope is rising again thanks to one young star. His name is Brandon Miller. But Miller's come up has posed some questions regarding the future of the Hornets. Is it time to move on from LaMelo Ball? Miller's rise to stardom was what you'd expect from a top prodigy. A lot of hard work. To Brandon, basketball was more than just a game. It was his whole entire being, his identity, his purpose. He was born and raised just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, in a spacious 3-story house. His parents are both former athletes who became quite decorated in their own right. His mother, Angela Miller, was a successful track runner in her youth and still holds several 400-meter records at the University of Missouri. Brandon's father, Roger Miller, used to play American football for the University of Missouri before going on to play tight end for Alabama, the college where Brandon would launch his basketball career. As a boy, Brandon spent hours practicing on the nearby court because all he wanted to do was play on the biggest stages one day. While his talent was clear, Brandon's love for the game was driven by a tireless work ethic and an immovable will to get better with each passing day. Growing up 12 miles out of Nashville, in a small town of around 97,000 people, Miller didn't grow up around the inner city basketball competitions and high talent clinics like some other prospects. Instead, he took it upon himself to get better, with an unwavering determination to reach his final goal. Brandon's skills improved with time, and his name became well known among youth basketball fanatics. His great skill within the game was only matched by his humble nature off it, which won him over with teachers, coaches, and players alike. It was clear this small-town dreamer was bound for greatness, and the world was about to witness his rise to glory. Miller continued to improve while attending Cane Ridge High School. By his final year, he was averaging more than 24 points a game and leading his team to the state title. This outstanding performance won him the Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year for the second straight time, as well as a lucrative spot on the McDonald's All-American team. He was eagerly recruited by college scouts all over the country. Brandon had a lot of offers to consider before finally choosing to follow his father's footsteps and commit to the University of Alabama, joining the Crimson Tide. Brandon's fame continued to grow, and his name was held in the same conversation as any other top prospect that year. After a successful one-and-done season for the Tide, he had carved his name into the record books. He became the first SEC player to win the SEC Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, and Tournament MVP in the same season. It all seemed like sunshine and rainbows for the Alabama star, but alas, everybody has their slip-ups. For Miller, it came during that tremendous season for Alabama. You wouldn't know it by the way he was playing, but Brandon was caught up in the middle of a murder case involving a couple of his teammates. Allegedly, Miller brought the gun to the scene that was used to commit the horrendous act. After weeks of ongoing trials and hearings, it was determined that the then 20-year-old had no knowledge that the weapon was in his car. Rather, it was left in there by his teammate, and Brandon was only going back to them as they had texted Brandon asking for a ride. But this wasn't to be without backfire. Brandon Miller would continue to receive hateful messages online for some time, even prompting Alabama to assign the young man a full-time bodyguard, especially at games. This was a hard time for Brandon, but he did not let it shake him in the slightest. And after a stellar season for the Crimson Tide, he finally declared for the 2023 NBA Draft. With the second pick in a lucrative draft, the Charlotte Hornets became Miller's new home.
With the second pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller.
He had finally arrived at the moment he had been waiting for since his first days on the neighborhood court. Brandon's face remained cool and collected, but you know for a fact that deep down, he was over the moon. While the move to the NBA is never easy, Brandon's strong work ethic and passion for his trade helped him overcome the hurdles of his first season. There were times of struggle as he adjusted to the heightened pace and brutality of the professional game. Throughout it all, Brandon stayed focused, drawing on the lessons he had learned from his upbringing and utilizing them as fuel to push himself ahead. As the season continued, Brandon's confidence improved, and he started to show off the skills that had made him such a highly touted prospect. So much so that he won the Rookie of the Month in January, February, and March. Brandon Miller's arrival in Charlotte was met with great hopes, but he quickly showed that he was capable of exceeding them. His skills on the court were a great mix of delicacy and grit, delighting both fans and experts. "Brandon has one of the purest shooting strokes I've ever seen," said Hornets coach James Borrego. "He can pull it from anywhere on the court and knock it down with ease." Now, it's no secret who Miller had modelled his game after, even going so far as to call Paul George the GOAT. Now, it's easy to forget that PG-13 was once an MVP caliber player, with elite seasons in Indiana and Oklahoma. For Brandon, this was the epitome of players and chose George to shape his playstyle. From his offensive skill set, it's easy to spot the similarities, but comparisons go further than just shooting. Both play a well-rounded game that make rival players worry. Brandon's playmaking ability is truly special, NBA analyst Doris Burke said. He has a knack for finding the open man and making the right play at the right time. While Miller's scoring skills get a lot of attention, like PG, his defensive efforts were not to be ignored. His determination and defensive IQ were vital to the Hornets' success, however small it might have been this season. Brandon's defensive prowess is often overlooked, but it's a crucial part of his game, Borrego said. He has a knack for anticipating plays and getting timely stops when we need them most. As Brandon's star began to rise, Hornets fans couldn't help but be excited about the team's future. However, the excitement was dampened by ongoing concerns surrounding the injuries of their team's cornerstone, Lamelo Ball. Lamelo's arrival in Charlotte was extremely high profile, but his fight to stay healthy has been a consistent battle since he entered the league. Playing in only 184 of a possible 328 games, Lamelo has played less than 60 games in the past 2 seasons, thanks to a reoccurring ankle issue that he just can't seem to overcome. As the season continued, Lamelo's loss was noticed both on the court and in the locker room. The team failed to maintain regularity, and the once energetic mood inside the Spectrum Center started to fade. Brandon Miller's rise was partially due to the absence of Ball, allowing him to become the go-to man for a depleted Hornets side. Now that Miller has shown his flair and what he is capable of, is it time for the team to move on from their forever hurt point guard? On this tough topic, people have different views. From Skip Bayless, "Lamelo has so much talent. You have to be patient and let him get fully healthy. It's worth waiting for a player like that." However, on the contrary, many fans have become unhappy with Ball's failure to stay on the floor and contribute regularly. One fan said, "It feels like he's injured more than he plays. How can we build around a player who is never available?" Some people wonder whether Miller and Ball might play well together, or if Miller's success has made Lamelo unnecessary. "There's no denying that Brandon is the centerpiece right now," Stephen A. Smith said. "Having 2 ball-dominant players rarely works out well. With both players young and skilled, the Hornets front office has tough choices as they plan for the future. Regardless of what happens with Lamelo Ball, one thing is certain: the future of Charlotte finally looks to be on the up, with Brandon Miller leading the way. The powerful scorer has renewed Hornets fans' hopes and faith. "My goal is to bring a championship to this city," Miller told the crowd. "With the support of these great fans, I know we can make it happen." Miller's strict work ethic and fierce fire position him to become a team cornerstone who can help the Hornets regain prominence. Coach James Borrego talked about his exceptional student. "Brandon is the whole package: skill, drive, and leadership. He's the kind of guy you could build a team around for the next decade." As the 24-25 season approaches, the hype around Brandon Miller and the Charlotte Hornets grows. After exceeding all expectations as a rookie, the basketball world is excited to watch how Miller follows up on his promising start. Brandon Miller has restored Queen City's energy, but there's still a long way to go and some tough decisions to be made. What direction do you think the Hornets should take? If you like keeping up with basketball's young stars, then you'll love what we have in store for you. Join us next time as we look at another up-and-coming NBA wonder kid.